Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. I'm really excited to welcome Adam Hunkin from Polaris Yacht Supply to Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Morning, Adam. Welcome to the Boatbuilding News podcast.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Finally managed to speak to you after untold amount of technical issues last time we tried this.
It's been too long, but finally, hopefully, this is the one to do.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. So let's go straight into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
So my name is Adam Hunkin. I'm the founder and managing director of Polaris Yacht Supply. We launched in January last year, January 2022, with a focus on supplying the finest deck equipment to super yachts and shipyards worldwide. And I think the first year, really, we kind of nailed that on the head with our first new build project in Northern Europe.
Awesome.
They came to us through one of our marketing posts and, yeah, really just kind of got the ball rolling with that. And then really since then, it's just been a steady onwards growth with the business.
Awesome. So let's go back to basics. So there's obviously a lot of equipment supply companies out there in the market, but what is it in your eyes and in your words that makes Polaris that bit different?
I think, well, especially with a lot of these supply companies, they have account managers, a lot of the staff that haven't necessarily worked in the industry before, and that's where my expertise and background comes in. I've sailed since I could barely walk. Well, before I could ride a bike, I've always been on the water.
Oh, really?
And I've worked on yachts. And that's the fundamental kind of really key difference, is that I was a yachty once before. I was in my now client's situation, trying to find that supplier that understands the lingo or the budget constraints or the time constraints they're under, and trying to constantly battling with suppliers on what we need or where we need it, etc. Because the industry is very different. It is very different from any other industry, whether that's time or cost or anything. So that's what I strive to work towards, is to become that supplier that anyone can call 24/7. I'm always on my phone, and what they need, and we'll sort it out.
Awesome. So you're responsive. I mean, 24/7. I mean, that's quite a bold statement.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've had clients phone me at 3, 4 in the morning, depending on time differences, or message me or email me saying, "Hey, can you sort this out?" And it's either a holding reply and say, "Yeah, I'll get on to it first thing in the morning," or if it's really urgent, I'll just get onto it now. The only downside of that is that if I don't have the necessary information or pricing right there and then there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Because suppliers will be asleep, or manufacturers will be asleep. But yeah, I always try and respond in sharpish, because that's the nature of the game and it's the nature of the business.
Well, even if it's just a communication back to them to say, "Hey, I've got your message and I will be on it," is sometimes enough to reassure them that someone's working on their request, isn't it?
Exactly. And having been in that situation before, when you don't get a reply from a supplier for 2 days, you're thinking, really, do you want me to work with you or not?
Yeah.
And that comes down to kind of the bottom line. I think that's across the industry. So I'll always strive to be as responsive as possible, whether that's through WhatsApp, emails, phone calls, whatever. Obviously, sometimes I can't do it if I'm stuck in a meeting or what have you, but there are exceptions. But
yeah, so I mean,
that's the aim of the game.
Also as well is when people are speaking to you, like you say, you touched on your background there. You're not somebody who's just selling this equipment. You're somebody who's used this equipment firsthand. So the advice you can give, is different to somebody if all they've done is sold it and they know what the product does on paper, but you've actually used it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd say 95% of the products we sell, I've used personally, or I've got friends, or I've got testimonials from clients who've used them, etc. So when it comes to specing a product, if a client goes, well, I need fenders for a 50 meter, I'll run through some options and then go speak to my supplier and say, "Hey, look, this is a 50 meter boat, this is the size, what do you think?" And then we'll sit down with the client and really go through what they're after, because there are so many for all of our products. There's mountains of options to go through. It's not a simple go online, buy this. You know, it's not buying a battery charge for a lift foil or something. It's you know, that they are fairly bespoke items, so you do need to speak to someone who kind of does know what they're talking about.
Yeah, but I suppose it's knowing what you're talking about, but it's going, I mean, you can know what you're talking about just by, you know, being a good salesperson and really studying your products. But having used them, it's that belief, I suppose. I suppose what you're selling is something you actually genuinely believe is the right solution for them. So, you know, you're
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
selling it in a way more sort of passionate and practical way, and actually advising them on why you think that's the product for them, not just telling them this is the
And
product.
exactly, and that's kind of come across also in our product articles on our website. It's kind of really highlighting our expertise within our products and the background, that there's a lot of areas within our products that clients wouldn't even think of when purchasing something, and that's something that really kind of, the client goes, wait a second, didn't think of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that kind of really comes across with my experience and the experience of the guys here.
Yeah, so I mean, you can advise. Do people come to you with a problem, but not knowing actually what they need to buy, and it's up to you to kind of say, actually, I've been in this situation, or I've seen this situation before, and this is the answer.
Yeah, or they'll come across with a specification for a product and say, Adam, I need this, this, and this, and they need it by this time, but I don't have a clue what it's going to look like. So just come up with a list of requirements.
Yeah.
So then you start the design process, and you're basically trying to. They've got this idea in their head that they can't put onto paper, and you just go through design iteration after iteration after iteration to find out what they're actually looking for,
Yeah.
which is great fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's time consuming and it gets a bit costly, but it's good fun, and especially when you deliver a product to a client and they go, "This is exactly." I'm sure shipyards know about it all the time. You know,
Yeah.
when they deliver a yacht to an owner and they go, "Wow, this is what I was envisioning in my head." That's really satisfying.
Yeah, I can imagine. Awesome.
Yeah, so the bespoke stuff we do kind of on the side of our main supply.
Oh, really? So there's like two elements to it then. You know, there's a bit more bespoke, which
Well,
is,
yeah, multiple elements really. So that the deck supply to operational yachts, then the new build side of things, we'll do a full deck outfitting for all the deck equipment, whether it be tender whips, mooring lines, fenders, storage in the garage. So we do you can look after the whole area there, whole department, and then any bespoke products or safety products, etc. So trying to cover all areas, but primarily focusing on the deck equipment side, because that was my role on deck, and
yeah,
you know,
stick with what you know.
yeah, exactly. And if
Yeah,
you're good at
why
it,
not?
stick with it. Don't start like, yes, no doubt in a few years' time the company will diverse into more areas or more departments, but right now we're still a small fish in a very big pond, so kind of stick with what we're good at.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, do you know, completely back to basics, why the name Polaris? Why not Adam Hunkin Yacht Supply? You know, what's the thinking behind this?
The name Polaris came from sitting around a table in a beer garden with friends and family, when the idea for Polaris came about. So Polaris is, well, I wanted something that says what we do. So yacht supply had to
Okay.
be in there. And
Obviously,
then
yep.
it was right, we need something catchy and something linked to the nautical world. And Polaris is the North Star. And as all officers go through their celestial navigation, you start with the North Star. And it was like, well, okay, so
Okay.
the North Star is really the guiding light of celestial navigation. Polaris will be the guiding light in yacht supply. Well, I hope. That's the end goal anyway. So kind of put the two and two together really, and Polaris Yacht Supply became. I started going through, and it's like, yeah, no, that sounds good. I like that.
Yeah.
And it links.
It rolls off the tongue
Yeah,
well.
and it links with my nautical
Yeah.
background as well. And then it was a case of designing a logo, and the logo comes about of it's a mix between it's a motor yacht with sails. So the top
Okay.
swish are your head sail and mainsail, and then the bottom half is a motorboat going over a wave. So
Oh, yeah.
we cover
I love that.
both sides of the market, and again something fairly nautical themed, and not just a logo of the the name Polaris or a star or what have you. So it was to try and keep the company as nautical as possible. And my favorite color
Yeah.
being blue, that was a no-brainer.
So actually, do you know, there's more thought put into names like that than, well, okay, as an example close to home, the Boatbuilding News.
Yeah,
I literally it just was the Boatbuilding News. I didn't even think I'm going to call it that. I was just saying what it was on the tin. Whereas Polaris Yacht Supply, I was like, I wonder why there's Polaris in
Yeah, a
there.
lot of
But
people have asked, and yeah,
it's
it's
cool.
just kind of really, there's a personal connection to it, and I like,
I love it.
Polaris being celestial. I like celestial navigation. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's cool. Nice. So, what's the hardest thing for you right now? Like, what challenges are you facing? What sort of things are really making you scratch your head?
Um, I think, okay, industry across the board. I think like everywhere in the world would be the move to more sustainable sources, either through power or power drive trains on yachts, etc.
Yeah, there's a big drive in the industry for that. So it's a mad sort of scramble to find the solutions for this, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
it's hard.
otherwise you're left behind.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, but there is a big black cloud hanging over everyone's head with lithium batteries, and that's the rise in fires
Yep.
on board yachts. So our clients can now purchase fire extinguishers capable of extinguishing lithium battery fires through Polaris, which I think within the next 18 months, 2 years, will become regulatory either through flag state or MCA or class to have these extinguishers on board. I know
Oh,
it's
right.
moving across towards in the aviation world, and I think it's kind of being picked up through there. But these batteries are fabulous. They're amazing. The battery storage you can hold and the energy storage you can hold is amazing until thermal runaway happens, and then you can't stop the thing unless you have an extinguisher that can put it out.
Yeah. So you're kind of ahead of the game with things that you think are going to become regulation as well.
Exactly, and that's kind of where I want to stay with the company is keep it ahead of the game, keep it ahead, on that curve all the way through.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a recipe for success, really. If someone's saying to you, "What are your problems?" and your natural response to it isn't a reaction to a problem, it's almost preempting problems and trying to already react to the problems that haven't even necessarily happened yet. That's a great mindset to be
Yeah, I
in.
mean, I always find that there's always a solution to a problem. There's always a positive
Yeah.
to a negative. Sometimes you have to spin your outlook on it and go, okay, well, it may not be the best solution, but it is a solution, and then we can work. Usually, if you start with one thing, then you can move to the next and get better and better. So here we're all about finding solutions,
Yeah.
and that's why. Sorry. That's why clients come back to us because they go, "Wow, that they've solved that for us. He sourced that for us. Didn't know that was possible." Or just being proactive with time in terms of shipping it for clients. Say you're shipping to France in a week's time, it goes, "Oh, well, we may be leaving, 48 hours after the product arrives. Well, let's ship it to your next destination."
Yeah.
Just always trying to help the client out, even if it makes my life a misery for the time being. Let's be
But
honest, we're all
the
human.
thing is, I bet, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's yacht supply companies out there who are quite transactional and are, hey, you've come to me with this, I'll sell you that. Whereas it sounds like you're taking quite a consultative approach to this
Exactly.
and actually trying to sort of provide sort of a holistic solution rather than just exactly what they've asked for out of a catalogue and just deliver it to where they say and move on.
I mean, there's places in the market for both, and I say we probably do both depending on the product and the clients and lead times and whatever. But if there is an area where a discussion can be had, the client may not even know that there's a product out there that's more cost effective and better quality. And if they get a better outcome, either operationally or financially, then that's brilliant. And that's what I'll always strive for. The outcome for
Yeah.
the client, not the outcome for us as a business. Okay, it's got to work as a business and it's got to be sustainable, but the ultimate outcome is for the client.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. So, I mean, like you say, you're small, you're startup, but you're growing. But ultimately, you're your own boss at the moment, which sounds on paper amazing. But what's the worst thing about that?
There's not enough time in the day.
100% agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, probably the worst thing. And also, I'm fortunate I have a fairly decent support network within business around me, so I can always ask questions and stuff. But and they're all in different sectors, but they've all been in the same position as I have, so I can bounce questions off them and go, oh, what about this, what about that? But I think
Yeah.
the fundamental thing is, yes, you are your own boss, and so the decision lays on your head. Whereas if you work for a company and something goes wrong, unless you're running that company, you can always go speak to someone else who's most likely been in that position before.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, and you know that every decision you make, whether it's a good decision, hey, people make mistakes, they're human. As long as you learn from that mistake, then, great. If you don't, then you need to really rectify it quickly. But yeah, just knowing that every decision you make is going to have an impact on the company, whether, that's financially, operationally, or what have you. So you've really got to be switched on. There's no time for slacking. And that's why,
No.
all the top business leaders of the world and people are running successful companies within the industry. And I speak to them, he goes, yeah, I don't really sleep. I work 24/7. And it's because the business becomes their baby, and they need to grow and nurture it.
Well, you're so personally invested in it. You're not working for someone else. It is your thing. It's entirely up to you whether it's a success or it fails, isn't it?
Exactly.
In the early stages, at the very least, anyway.
Yeah, and I'm sure as the company grows and we continue recruiting and get more staff, then it will just continue to grow. But yeah, at the moment, it's just constantly pushing and pushing and pushing, whether that's through our marketing or through our sales or through traveling, boat shows, client visits, etc. Constant.
It is constant. Yeah, I know what you mean. So 2023, give us a rundown. What's happened so far and what's in the pipeline?
So January, so where are we now? End of February. February's been, sorry, it's a complete blur. February's been incredibly busy. It's been brilliant.
Good.
Lots of new clients, lots of returning clients, lots of different products out the door. I couldn't say, oh yeah, we've had a popular product because everything's been different. But no, yeah, February's been very, very good. And I'm very grateful for that from clients coming back to us. And then moving forwards into the year, I'd like to get involved with another new build project. We successfully did, I won't name it because it's still, it's very personal to us. But yeah, we did a very good job of that and got a cracking testimonial from a client from it, which is brilliant. And they're very, very satisfied with the products. So I'd like to kind of continue that role with another new build project, preferably a bigger size boat. But, we do anything from, we've got clients who own the new Oyster 495, which is like right down the bottom 50-foot range, all the way up to 100 plus meters. So we don't go, oh, we deal with the big stuff, you can have the small stuff. I mean, everyone's important to us.
Regardless of the size, I guess.
So yeah, 2023, continue going to the same yacht shows we did last year. So you'll see us in Palma Super Yacht Show at the end of April. Maybe doing Cannes as well. There's September time, then Monaco, then Metz, and just continue with growth and building and networking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And having fun.
So have you?
Because that's what business is.
Wow. Yeah. Do you know, actually, in one of the previous episodes I recorded with somebody, somebody super successful, actually, a lot of what they spoke about was enjoy what you do. You know what I mean? If it's, have fun, and actually usually you'll be quite successful. And I thought that was quite a light-hearted take on it that I didn't expect from the conversation with them. But it is important, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you can have fun while working, then you've pretty much nailed your working life.
You're absolutely right.
And then I think that's where, so I joined a group called Young Professionals in Yachting, about this time last year.
I love that.
And they're kind of really kind of hit the nail on the head for me. It's like, brilliant, I can network. There's a lot of I've met some brilliant people there throughout the UK and Holland and Monaco, etc. And most of their events are pretty good fun. They're usually in the city or elsewhere in the UK. So you can network.
They usually involve a drink or two.
Glass of wine is necessary with that. And then, so it's just nice to get out of the office, but kind of still network. So that group's brilliant. Big shout out to them because they've helped me a lot.
It sounds like a great group. If only I was young enough, Adam. That's they don't let old people like me in.
They do a alumni thing now for people older
Oh,
than
do
me.
they?
Um,
Oh, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I think that's a much nicer way to describe it than old people in yachting.
well, Ed Ewer from was it Shoreside Super Yacht Recruitment? He's got
Yeah.
the Super Yacht Supper Club, which I think caters for the
Yes,
wider
I
market.
like that.
Um,
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea because, it just gets everyone together on initially, almost it feels primarily on a social level. But you just know that if you get a group of professionals in the same industry in the same room together, it's a powerful brainstorming session for, hey, I'm coming up with this problem. And, you're more than likely going to find other people that are also facing that problem. And let's get our head together. And it kind of puts you in a situation where you're not seeing people as competition, you're seeing them as sort of peers in your industry, and
yeah,
I think that's
I
really
don't. I wouldn't say
important.
there's really any competitors in this industry because
No.
one minute, you know, you're working with them, and the next minute you're trying to compete against them. So I wouldn't say there's any competition with anyone here. The web is
Yeah.
it's very intertwined. Um,
You're absolutely right, and I think that, I mean, it's the same from my point of view. There's people out there doing exactly the same thing I do, but I love to network with them. I love to talk to them because I love to see their take on it. Everyone's got their own different approach. You approach yacht supply in a different way to how other people do. I approach social media in a different way, and everyone's got their own style, and it's not one size fits all. Some clients opt for something else, and other clients opt for your style, don't
yeah,
they?
100%, 100%. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say, there are a lot of supply companies out there. There's a lot of marketing companies out there. There's a lot of engineering firms out there, but
Yeah.
there's enough work for everyone. You know,
Absolutely,
the market will
100%
never
agree.
be too saturated unless you're going in.
No.
Okay, the only market I know that saturates clothing. I won't be going. There won't be a Polaris clothing range. I can assure you. Or you like, but yeah, the industry is growing. It's still growing. Straight after the pandemic, was Boat
It's
International
not stopped, is it?
yeah, it's still on a steady increase as owners realise that you can escape. It's escapism. And it was Farouk Nevzi, the chief marketing officer from Fedship, said to me once that these guys are the top high net worth individuals of the world. They're looking for normality, and I saw that with one of
Yeah.
my owners I work for. That actually, he said to me, "I just want to have a normal life where I can go to the beach and make sandcastles for my kids, and not have a security detail around me, and not having to book restaurants in advance." And I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, money. I'm sitting here talking to a man worth multi-billions, and he's asking me to build sandcastles on the beach with his kids, and realise that money really doesn't buy happiness. It buys opportunities and accessibility, but it doesn't buy happiness. And
Oh,
that's really
you are
stuck with me.
100% right. Yeah. And that's such a healthy sort of thing to have stick with you as well, because you'll take that through probably into every situation, whether it's business or personal. And it's always a healthy viewpoint, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, of course, I set the business up because, well, one, for work and financially, but ultimately, there was a reason I set the company up, and that was to help my clients.
So, how do you stay motivated? On the days where you think, or if someone's got you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, like you spoke about, how do you then turn it on and just, go after the day again?
Um, every day is a new day. There's clients out there to reach out to, whether we've worked with them before or not. Um, it really depends, and also it kind of depends on what's going on. Obviously, some days I have days and you go, bloody hell, what am I doing? You're tearing my hair out. Nothing
Yeah,
is
no.
going right here. And other days, you're flying high. So, the good comes with the bad, and you've just got to ride the wave and go with it. Um,
Oh, I say this to my team quite a lot whenever, especially on the tough days, peaks and troughs.
yeah,
It's got to balance out, and as long as you're always on an upward curve and the peaks are outweighing the troughs, we're all good.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Whether it's like you may have been having a very quiet week and there's no inquiries come through, but there's always something you can be doing. Okay, let's write a new article. Let's smash on the marketing. Let's organise some meetings. It's just all about being proactive, because ultimately, if you're being proactive, you're growing.
Yeah.
Whether that's you're growing your marketing side of things, your operational, right? Love a bit of retail therapy. Let's go buy some stuff for the warehouse. It's not exciting, but so always kind of growing, and that the business is huge, even though it's small in terms of areas you can grow. with growth, whether it's operational, financially, sales, marketing. Organize your life in terms of boat shows and get all the admin stuff out the way, your account sorted. So yeah,
There's always something positive you to do in your business.
it's never quiet. I mean, the only quiet time I'd say would probably be Friday at 3 o'clock when it's time to crack open a Guinness.
A Guinness. Is that your drink of choice, is it? A Guinness?
Yeah, that helps.
Awesome. So have you got a standout moment that you really sort of recognised, that you sort of took a step back and you thought, oh my goodness, I'm so proud of what's just happened there?
Yeah, I think, yeah, well, what with business, it would be the new build we did last year, purely because I didn't expect a new
Yeah.
build to come through. You know,
Oh,
a lot of
really?
pushing to try and jump onto new build projects, and they owners, reps, and project managers have their chosen suppliers, etc., and their long-standing relationships, and trying to get involved or kind of interrupt the market there is very difficult. But we were fortunate to get involved with the one we did last year, which was awesome. It was nice to see the
Oh,
warehouse of
good.
pallets in, all branded up, ready to go. That was, yeah, it was good.
That sticks
Yeah,
with you, does
exactly. And
it?
honestly, I've got their testimonial pinned up on my pin board in my office. It's just
Oh,
there.
wow. Just there.
And then outside of business will probably be actually, well, God, we're miles away now. 10 years ago, I think it was. I did a
Oh,
kayaking
okay.
race whilst I was at school from Devizes to Westminster. So it's 125 miles, basically across
Wow.
the south coast of England.
Yeah, that's a long way.
So that was done over 4 days, and we did it in. So I've got it written down. Just over 21 hours. So we were the youngest team to compete. Yes, youngest
That's
team
awesome.
to compete at the time. We came fourth in our class, and James Cracknell, the ex-Olympian, pulled out. A load of Marines pulled out because of the weather, and we kept them going. So I think that really kind of stands out in my head as a
Yeah, because I
physical and
suppose you
emotional
use
achievement.
things like, yeah, but you use things like that even in business, don't you? And the fact you say, you've got it written down, it means a lot. And it's almost like if you are hitting a tough day, you're like, I did that, and it just gives you a bit of a,
Yeah,
it's
brilliant
good.
feeling.
It's good. You can draw so much on, your previous achievements, whether they're personal or business.
Exactly. Every day's an achievement.
Yeah.
I think that sounds really sad. Every day's an achievement, but yeah,
No.
just keep on growing and keep on pushing and stay
Yeah.
positive is where I see myself. And then who knows where Polaris will be? I mean, Polaris is in a very different place today than it was this time last year when we were 6 weeks into launch, from launching. So I'm sure
Yeah.
this time next year and the year after will be in a very different place, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. A little bit. We used to call this the Would You Rather round, but I'm kind of mixing it up a bit. So it's kind of the quick fire round now. So it's a bit of Would You Rather involved, but also a bit of just quick fire questions at you. Are you ready?
Far away.
Okay. Would you rather chill on a beach in a luxury resort or an adventure-filled holiday trekking through a rainforest?
Rainforest.
Would you?
Yeah.
So you don't want to just some chill out time out after everything you've just spoken about how busy you are. You don't want to just chill.
No, you can. No, there's loads of time for chill when you're old. That's what you do. You go on cruises and chill out. You got to see it while you can,
Fair
especially
enough.
when you're young.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I agree. Okay. Would you rather keep Polaris smaller, independent, and have full control, or perhaps grow sort of globally, really, really large into something huge, but possibly not have all the overall control?
Globally.
You're all for the growth, are you?
Yeah.
You want to take it as far as you possibly can.
Hey, there's companies out there that are huge but still got a personal aspect to them, and that's
Yeah.
all down to your recruitment process, the people you recruit, and down to you as a person of how you want the company to be. Because Polaris wouldn't be here without me, so I've got to look at it as, okay, the company is an extension of my personality and who I am.
I love that. I really love that.
See what happens.
Okay. Yeah,
In
that's
10
true.
years' time, if
I
we're
might.
still having this conversation, and it hasn't gone to
Yeah.
plan.
Shall I remind you of this?
Please
I'll
don't.
just send it back to you as a little small voice note every now and again. Okay, the last one. Okay, you've got one day only. You can spend it as you please, and money and travel time is completely irrelevant. What are you going to do?
This sounds quite boring. Go to see my grandparents.
Oh, wow. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, That's probably the most low-key answer I'd ever expect.
Yeah, they live on the other side of the country, down in Dartmouth.
Okay.
And I rarely ever see them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably go see them.
Okay, Adam, I'm telling you now, that's not expensive and doesn't take long. Go and see your grandparents.
Money doesn't buy happiness.
I'm telling you now, do it. Okay, and the final question I've got for you is the same question we ask everyone. What one quote inspires you and that you strive to live by?
Where is it? I have it written down.
You've got a lot of things written down, Adam.
I just notes everywhere. It's here. Yes, I can't remember where it came from. Saying if you want to see the sunshine, you have to weather the storm.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely love that. It's not what I've heard before, but it does remind me of one of my favourite ones where it's only in the darkness can you see the stars.
Yeah, exactly. So the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as we said earlier, every day you've got peaks and troughs, or weeks or months. It's not a steady, easy ride. You've got your ups and downs, and if you want to see the sunshine, you have to weather the storm. And that relates back to my nautical background and sailing background. So
yes, it's very apt. Well done.
Not that I live boats.
Cool, awesome. I know. Well, Adam, thank you so much for taking the time out. I'm so glad with all the technical difficulties we had over these last couple of weeks, we finally got this conversation recorded and it was worth waiting for. So thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And I wish you all the success, but just keep in touch and, come back on and tell us how you're doing this time next year.
Sure. No, that'd be great. Let's do it. What 1 year or 2 year or 5 year update and see where the company's got and see what's happened in the world of yachting. Because I'm sure sitting here in this time next year or the year after will be a very different place, both business-wise, environment, sustainability, everything within the industry. And boat building use will be different. You probably have 2 or 3, interviewers working for you, and you could be on your beach with a pina colada. So.
Oh, now you're talking. Are we talking next year or 2 years? Because I'm talking like next month. I'm a bit impatient, Adam.
Well, that's the industry in a nutshell.
I know. Awesome. Well, I'll catch up with you soon. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.